Do you love cycling through scenic vineyards and orchards?
Sure I do.
Do you like riding a fully loaded touring bike through mud and gravel?
No.
You're gonna love this ride. So this weekend I drove up to Bakersfield with my bicycle and then I took Amtrak to Merced. Bakersfield is the southern gateway into the central California Valley. And there's an Amtrak route from Bakersfield up to Oakland. And you can jump off at any of the stations and cycle back to Bakersfield, which makes for a really nice point-to-point bike ride. By getting off at Merced, I got a 250-mile 3-day vacation. And the whole thing went really well except for one small problem. Google Maps. Google Maps does not have good data for this region, and it kept routing me onto mud and gravel and through private property and through gates. So 10 miles into the ride I'm supposed to make this turn south, and as you can see, it's gravel. Not only that, it's private property, and it turns out that there's a closed gate at the far end. I mean, does this look paved to you? Now normally I review the routes very carefully, but for some reason I didn't this time. Lesson learned. So now I have to figure out if I can get my bike through this gate. It's too heavy to lift over. Maybe it'll fit between one of these bars. Spoiler alert, no, it doesn't fit. I had to take all the bags off, and then I had to weave it through the gate like some kind of Chinese puzzle, walk around myself, put the bags back on again, and then I could get riding. Now even reviewing the route wouldn't have helped because at street level the gate is open. Now navigational issues aside, I really enjoyed that first day. Of course it's a 3-hour drive for me to Bakersfield, and then the train trip to Merced was another 3 hours, so I didn't get to start riding until about 3 in the afternoon. I had 60 miles to ride, and the sun starts going down around 4:30, so there's going to be a fair bit of night riding. Now I do love cycling through farmland. I love the sights and the smells and the sounds, not necessarily in that order. And I recognize how hard farmers have to work, and I really appreciate what it is they do for us. One thing they do is they run their heavy farm equipment over our delicate California roads, leaving the roads looking, well, like this. You can see here I'm really struggling to find any kind of smooth pavement, and 40mm tires can only do so much to absorb vibration. Now Google Maps did say that this section was unpaved, and even though it's technically paved, I'm going to agree with Google Maps. I think it's time I turned my front light on and switch to a low light camera setting. As you can see, I've turned on to some good pavement and I'm making good time. That rough stuff really destroys your average. The temperature's dropped to about 34 degrees Fahrenheit by now, and I'm trying to motivate myself not to get off the bike and call an Uber. When I was about 2 miles from the hotel, Google Maps hallucinated this road. There is no road. Look, you can see there's no road from street level. There isn't even a hint of a road. It's a total hallucination. Okay, there's nothing. I have to go on the freeway. So yeah, I had to ride the last 2 miles on the freeway shoulder. Fortunately it was legal, but not pleasant. I'm looking off to my right where the road should be. It should be right next to the freeway according to the map, but there's absolutely nothing there, just a field. There it is. And here's my first overnight stop. It's the best Western at Firebow, or however you pronounce it. It was cold, but it wasn't windy and it wasn't raining, and I was happy. The hotel itself is definitely okay. They are bike friendly though, give them that. Day 2 started at the Best Western just off of I-5 and meandered over to Hanford. You'll notice the route wriggles around a bit as I desperately try and avoid dirt roads that Google Maps is insisting that I ride on. If you get the chance, I would recommend cycling alongside the California Aqueduct. It's some nice gravel, it's flat, it's scenic, there's lots of wildlife, it's quite lovely. What's interesting is I tried to put my drone up here and it wouldn't fly, it wouldn't record. It kept complaining it didn't like the road surface for some reason. I don't know why my Hover Air X1 doesn't like gravel, but it doesn't like gravel. Inefficient with my time. Now, despite my best efforts not to ride on mud, I really had no choice at some points. Mind you, this is actually pretty smooth, it's not bad at all, especially compared to some of the alleged pavement I had to ride yesterday. I think I confused quite a few agricultural workers by cycling out here. They were not expecting me at all.
Fine. Just doing their job.
So despite my swearing off mud for the day, I actually had to ride through about 5 miles of variable quality mud in order to get back onto pavement, headed in the direction I needed to go. I have to admit, getting back onto pavement was a huge relief. Imagine how excited I was to get onto what for this region is a major road. I mean, look, it has a center line and fog lines and everything. All sarcasm aside, this is some good riding here. When I'm out cycling like this, I have a tendency to think. And while I was out here, I started thinking about how cycling has improved my life, but not only that, cycling has improved me. One way cycling has improved me is I recognize and understand other people's needs better. I'm so vulnerable out there on the road, dependent on other people's good driving habits, that I have more empathy towards vulnerable things and people, like kittens and baby rabbits and motorcyclists. I wasn't always like that. Cycling has improved me. I wish everybody cycled. I'm also more willing to stop and help people. Have you ever been on a ride and thought to yourself, I wonder if I can get to the hotel by 5 o'clock? And then you see someone by the side of the road trying to pump up a tire with one of those micro pumps, the size of your thumb. You know they need help, but if you stop to help, you won't get to the hotel by 5. My rule is, if there's only one person and it doesn't look like they'll mug you, I'll stop and help. My Toe Peak Road Morph pump will inflate their tire in about 60 seconds. I'll lose 2 minutes, they'll gain 10. Sounds like a net gain, right? A hotel can wait. Sometimes even 2 people will need help. One year, I was riding the Hemet Double Century and I came across a tandem with a flat. I wasn't going to stop, but they asked me if I had a flat repair kit because theirs wasn't working. Turns out they'd never fixed a flat before and didn't realize you have to wait for the glue to dry before putting the patch on. 2 strong riders on a double century and neither of them had fixed a flat before. Weird. Long distance riding teaches and rewards self-sufficiency. I know I've just been talking about helping others, but you can't rely on others being around to help you. There is a sense of peace that comes knowing that you have the ability to handle any problems you're likely to have. Carry equipment. Know how to use it. Know where you are and where your resources are. Do you know how to fix a broken chain, treat a bee sting, or route around a road closure? If you're off course, do you know what direction you're heading and where your course is? The ability to solve problems will serve you well in life, at work as well as at home. If a door is closed, don't push harder, try pulling. Then look for a window. Make meticulous plans and be prepared to drop them. Some people like to fly by the seat of their pants, wherever that saying came from, but I plan carefully. Most days. I know where I'm going. Most of the time. I know where I plan to stop and roughly when. But I'm open to changing my plans if I see better options on the road. In essence, my plan is really a fallback in case nothing better presents itself on the day. I want to thank Big Ring Dave for teaching me that it's okay to be spontaneous. I was riding the Solvang Double Century one year, and Dave caught up with me just before Morro Bay. The route went within a couple of miles of Morro Rock, and he said, "Let's ride over to the rock." I said, "It's not on the route." He said, "So?" You'll notice I don't call what I do endurance riding. Endurance implies suffering in the face of adversity. I strive to keep the suffering to a minimum. My motto has always been, let every mile bring you joy. Now, if you're struggling up a hill and not really enjoying it, it's okay if the downhill gets you double joy points. But what about personal bests and grand achievements? Well, they're fine so long as the joy of the achievement exceeds the pain required to achieve it. But Terry, you ask, what about those people who enjoy suffering? Yeah, they're not watching this video, they're off watching a self-flagellation video. Anyhow, here's some more of the California Aqueduct, definitely the best riding of the day. At 40 miles I'm in 5 Points, which has 2 convenience stores and a Mexican food truck. I am spoiled for choice. I am jonesing for a bean and cheese burrito, so that's what I got. I just love eating at Mexican food trucks. I've never regretted it. I got a bean and cheese burrito and a can of Coke for $8. That's absolutely the best value. I couldn't even finish the bean and cheese burrito, even though I just cycled 40 miles. I had to give the last of it to this stray dog that was just begging, so cute. Now the rest of the afternoon was nothing spectacular. It was just cycling on flat, quiet, smooth roads. Orange orchards, olive groves, vineyards, stuff I didn't recognize. It might have been alfalfa. Nothing spectacular, nothing too crazy. Now the weather forecast said there was a 25% chance of rain today, and if you're outside for an entire day when there's 25% chance of rain, you're gonna get rained on. So I was expecting rain, but I was surprised. I only felt like 3 drops and then that was it. Now that was lucky. Now this is a lovely looking country estate. It looks like something straight out of the south of England. I could imagine a country squire going grouse shooting in here. Now unfortunately, just a few yards further on, Google Maps routed me back onto dirt again, even though it swore it wasn't dirt. To make this even worse, if it had taken me straight ahead and then made the next left, I would have had no dirt and I would have been on the same route. It's a stupid decision. I swear, Google Maps must be using AI and it's doing stupid stuff. Look, here's the dirt section I was just showing you. If it had taken me down these 2 roads here, they're both paved. What the fuck, Google Maps? Here I am after 80 miles and almost no climbing in the small town of Hanford. I'm staying at the Roadaway Inn, which is not a particularly great inn, but they're going to get a 5-star review from me because they are very bike friendly. In fact, the guy at the front desk was really nice. I had a lot of mud on my bike, and he actually unlocked his hose and gave me some old rags so I could clean my bike up before I took it into my room. But don't order pizza from the local Domino's. They have no idea what they're doing, totally disorganized and very rude too. The third day from Hanford to Bakersfield is 110 miles, and I had 9.5 hours of daylight today. It was important that I finished in daylight for 2 reasons. Firstly, I had forgotten the charging cable for my taillight, and I didn't know how many hours of runtime was left in there. Secondly, the route finishes on a bike path through Bakersfield that's supposed to be very pretty, and I wanted to see it in daylight. If you remember one of my earlier videos from Bakersfield to Corcoran, you'll remember that I left Bakersfield to the north through Oildale, which is exactly the way it sounds. Well, we didn't get off to a very good start. Within a mile, Google Maps tried to route me through here. As you can see, that's not gonna happen.
Oh God, Google Maps is so stupid.
So today I was determined not to enter Bakersfield through Oildale, and I found this nice looking route coming in from the west. You'll see it at the end of the video. It really is very nice. So I started riding around 7 in the morning with the expectation of finishing around 3, which gave me plenty of spare daylight. Of course, all of my timing would be messed up if I have to deal with a lot of gravel and mud like I had the prior 2 days. Now, as you can see, as I headed south, we had some fog come in. Now, it started off being about half-mile visibility, but at times the visibility dropped down to about 200 yards, so I had to run my tail light and just pray it lasted long enough. Now, there's a lot of dairy farming in this area, and all I can say is it's a good thing beef doesn't taste like these cows smell. It's really rank. If I wasn't a vegetarian already, I'd seriously be thinking about it right now.
I know, right? things just lying there in the mud. It's disgusting. Ah, poor little cows.
And no, I'm not a vegetarian for ethical reasons. I had a heart attack and my doctor said my cholesterol was too high. The moment somebody invents a cholesterol-free porterhouse steak, I'll be right there. As you can see, the fog got progressively thicker and thicker until visibility was, less than 50 yards. Fortunately, my taillight was still running, which was a blessing. I was starting to get hungry and I saw this store off to the left, so I thought I'd stop and see what they had. Now, you know I love Mexican food trucks, but almost as good is an old Mexican woman cooking up food in the corner of a convenience store or a gas station. So I grabbed some mixed nuts because I was starting to cramp and ordered a cheese quesadilla. A cheese quesadilla cooked by an old Mexican woman in a convenience store. It just doesn't get much better than that. So here I am, all salty and cheesy and very, very damp from the fog. In fact, there's so much moisture gathering in my beard, it would probably hydrate a small mouse. Now, I'm sure this would have been very picturesque if it hadn't been for the fog, but I did have one problem writing this at the end of November. You see, I chose the end of November while I had a 4-day weekend, which was nice, but also because this area gets really, really hot. And I figured by writing at this time of the year, I wouldn't have to deal with 100-degree temperatures, and I was right. But the downside was that all of the crops, all of the foliage was going dormant because we're getting close to the end of fall. But honestly, even if it had been luxuriantly spectacular foliage, if it had been 100 degrees, I would have been in no state to enjoy it. Now, the next place of interest was Pixley, which has the highest concentration of loose dogs I've ever seen. In the 2 miles it took me to ride through Pixley, I must have been challenged by at least 20 loose dogs, and that doesn't include the 100 or so behind walls and fences. This is definitely a place to avoid if you're cycling, and if you're thinking about moving here, be aware you're going to spend most of your night listening to your neighbor's dogs bark.
So this is Delano. It's quite the town. Although the roads are a bit weird, all laid out weird, but plenty of stuff here to refuel everything your heart desires. So this is about it's a few miles south of McCleary or McKinney or whatever. That's a nice road. I'm headed due south right now. Head towards Bakersfield. The fog is starting to lift. Visibility's it's well over a mile. It was down to like 1/4 of a mile earlier. It's a nice road, smooth, no traffic. Nice crops on either side. There's some big old vines to the left and orange trees to the right that are not going dormant for some reason. I'm wondering if the owner's hoping to get another crop out of them this year. Anyway, it's really pretty. Some good cycling here. So I'm climbing up to a summit about 8 miles ahead. It's not a lot of climbing. It's about 800 feet in 10 miles. So pretty insignificant, really. And when I get to the top, I got a little bit of a downhill. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to that. It'll be nice. This bike is very heavy, and any kind of climbing is quite punishing, really. So best thing to do, gear down, cadence up, just spin up. I know it's only 1%, but I've got a 50-pound, 60-pound bike here, and I'm no lightweight myself. So I just don't race, don't worry about the time. Just settle back to an enjoyable level of effort and enjoy it. Later. Okay, I think that's the top of the hill straight ahead. It looks like it finishes with a little bit of a climb. Hey, it is what it is, right? What are you gonna do? Turn around, sit down and start crying? No, you gotta get it done. One of the great beauties of long distance cycling. You just gotta get it done. I'm not thrilled about it, mind. I suppose I could always get off and walk. I don't plan on that though. I don't think it's as bad as it looks from here. How many times have you said that? Alright, later. Okay, I'm over the hill and I didn't have to walk. In fact, it was about a 4% hill. No big deal really. It looked like 10% from a distance. I told you it probably wasn't as bad as it looked. But anyhow, I got a long, gentle downhill now. About a 1.5% grade. I'm really liking it. I don't mind hills so long as you get the downhill too. I hate summit finishes though. Oh, that sucks. That's like a point-to-point ride with a headwind all the way. You know you're not going to turn around and reap the benefits. So yeah, I don't mind the hills as long as I get my downhill. Later. You know, this really chaps my hide. I'd have a really nice shoulder if some idiot hadn't put the rumble strip right up the middle. So now I got to ride out in the road. Why don't you put the rumble strip on the white line? Then I get a shoulder and everybody's happy. Nobody wants me out in the road. I don't want to be here. Nobody passing me wants me to be here. This is just Caltrans being unbelievably stupid.
Now I'm in Bakersfield and I'm about to turn onto that bike path I told you about.
Taking the right. Okay. Taking another right. Good evening.
Okay, it's a little desolate here, but it's a nice smooth bike path with no traffic, so you won't hear me complaining. And unfortunately, Caltrans didn't put a rumble strip in here.
So if you can finish a bike ride on a high note, you definitely want to do that. I noticed the river trail here could potentially be the last 5 miles of the day. I thought, I gotta do that. It might be a little longer, a little complex, but it's gotta be worth it. So here it is. Oh, that's not much of a river though. Look at that river. Call that a river? I don't know. Hey, what the heck, I'm on a bike path, right?